Okay, my goal is to get any character that I'm given above the tiering system. So I made one for SpongeBob and Midtop. And I said this about a couple of them. I said if you could beat one of these scales against me in a debate, then I'll give the winner $10. And there's a limit of one person or winner per video. And so Midtop took me up on one of them, and that's basically the debate whether or not SpongeBob was above the tiering system. These are all like I don't know. You're saying like these skills are bad, but Loki, these skills are all really powerful.
Let me repeat the
Especially the gameplay one, bro.
SpongeBob fucking survives Shell City, which is impossible. That's the
Yes. You said what?
Let me repeat the SpongeBob one to you real quick.
SpongeBob no, I know what I said in the video. Yeah, I know what I said in the video.
You think that's just good?
I think that's a perfectly legitimate argument. Why is that bad?
We can debate this one then. Like, first off,
impossible by survival.
This impossible thing from like I don't know where you're getting that from.
Plankton says at the end of the movie that he thought it was really unlikely, and then SpongeBob said that he did the impossible by going to Shell City.
Oh, I think that him going to Shell City and surviving means that it's possible. So, like, your argument's oxymoron inherently.
No, but fiction can render non-conventional logic, so it's possible for them, right? Could be impossible for us. So that's just that's perfectly okay.
No, it's just okay. So do you know what impossible means?
Yes, I know what an impossibility is. Do you know how impossibilities work?
Okay. What did you say?
Do you know how impossibilities work?
Yeah, I think I do, yeah.
It's an object out of accord with a given logic system. So I'm saying that our logic, right, it could be out of accord with, but not be out of accord with another logic system like that of SpongeBob's logic,
okay, so
right?
What's the logic system?
Our logic system is just classical logic.
Aren't you trying to say that their logic system is different?
Yes.
Okay, so how
it's impossible under our classical logic system, but they don't operate under that. Therefore, it's possible for them, but not possible for us.
Because I feel like my interpretation would be supported by Occam's razor.
It would be supported by Occam's razor. So let me ask you: do you think fiction is reality or no?
No, it's not reality.
Okay, so fiction is removed from reality. So why are you projecting reality standards onto something imaginary?
Because I think it's based on reality. Like, for
example, prove that.
Fish and stuff.
Prove that it's based on reality.
I guess, or like there's Earth, there's gravity. Like they're fish, I guess. They're on the water. They're based. I think it's based off of.
So you think a talking sponge and a talking starfish that's real life to you?
No, but starfish and sponge are based on reality. Like, I'm not trying to say that there's nothing like, and it comes steers off of reality, but it's more than likely like based off reality.
Well, that has to necessarily be grounded outside of reality, right? Like, that's not something that's really depicted in day-to-day life. We don't see starfish or talking sponges interacting with each other and going to Shell City, right? So it seems like it's grounding in something external to reality.
Yeah, I don't think you quite like what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say that everything is like off of reality. I'm trying to say that this is like based off reality. So like let's just say the base of itself, like what I mean by base, like it's grounded on our reality, like Earth and all that stuff. Like there's a starfish, and the starfish talking is grounded on our reality of a starfish and a sponge.
Yeah, and I'm saying that. Yeah, I'm saying that doesn't have a real life basis. What would be the real life basis for that particular occurrence?
Sorry, basis for what? Real life basis for what?
You're saying that these fictional representations are you're saying that they're based in real life. So I'm saying what would be their real life basis?
These fictional what? Characters?
Yeah. What would SpongeBob's real life basis be?
Well, SpongeBob is based off sponge, a real life sponge.
So all you mean by real life basis is that it has the most like a mild amounts of reference to just the real world in a way that's basically communicatable?
Not quite, no.
Okay, what do you mean?
What I mean by basis is like it's grounded upon it, like grounding, the foundation. Like, let me look for a better synonym.
Okay.
Dictionary. Basis. Okay, basis synonyms.
Because if that's the route you're going down, I'm just saying right now, and I'm taking your word that it's not. But if it is, that argument literally isn't incompatible with mine and actually concedes mine.
I don't think it does. Because remember, all I'm trying to do is like prove that the foundation of SpongeBob is like based off our reality. I don't have to say like, okay, well, every single aspect of it is like isn't based off reality. Isn't on like in accordance to our reality. Therefore, it's not based off of. Because I feel like that's sort of your argument. You're saying like, okay, well, they're talking. That's not based off reality. Based off
Yeah,
our reality. So
and I'm
then,
saying that you have one or two. Yeah, and I'm saying responsively that you have one of two issues, right?
okay,
Essentially, you either have the issue of just blatant falsification, in which I can showcase you distant fictionalism that showcases an obvious disconnect from reality, or if you're just saying that it's like communicative between those representations and then real world language and real world objects, then that's not even relevant. That literally doesn't affect my argument. That can concede my argument, so it's not even a good counter.
okay.
So it
So
would quite literally be
I
irrelevant.
okay. I think you sort of like also making a sort of I think it's called genetic fallacy where you're trying to say like okay well inside this aspect it's not grounded on our reality therefore in all aspects it isn't. Like what I'm trying to say is that the base of SpongeBob itself is based off our reality like air and stuff like that like all those laws and shit like that's based off our reality.
And what I'm saying is, if you mean reality in the loosest sense possible, that was already included in my initial argument, so that just concedes my argument.
How does that concede your argument?
Because
Okay,
my argument is that it has a basis of communication, right? But
what's
it
that?
doesn't need to represent ideas that themselves are, and
I'm
this is
still
simple,
confused. What is that?
hindered by what we expect in real life.
Sorry, can you just
So
repeat
that's
yourself? Like,
already
repeat yourself like I'm 5 years old because I am not. I'm not. No,
no, no, it's good, it's good. So basically, I'm saying that uh, obviously there's a level of like real life representation, right? Like bare minimum, they're explaining stuff in like human language. So you could say that's a basis, but if that's all you're saying, you're not saying that it's constrained by reality, right? Which I've already shown is not the case. If you're not saying that it's constrained by reality, then the point that you're making is irrelevant because if it's not constrained by reality, then I've merely proven my point that SpongeBob is not constrained by real life logic.
I'm so fucking confused. But I think I sort of am getting your argument. I think your argument is that okay, well, since these things aren't based on our reality, then this thing isn't based off our reality. But I think that that's also a genetic fallacy that you're creating.
Well, that would even be a genetic fallacy, right? A genetic fallacy is saying that some information is wrong on the basis of its source, but that's not what I'm saying.
Oh,
What
sorry,
you're
sorry.
trying to
No,
accuse me
sorry. That's
of,
the wrong
yeah, what
fallacy
you're
then.
trying to accuse me of is a fallacy of
Sorry,
composition, but that's not true either.
sorry. I
Um,
forgot the fallacy. I
yeah,
think it's hasty generalization then.
yeah. Regardless of
Yeah.
what name we want to assign to it, what I'm saying is that if all you're saying is that we can understand it in our real world, that doesn't mean anything. That was granted by my argument to begin with. So this is just a concession to my argument. What you have to argue is that real life constrains fiction.
Real? I don't have to argue that. No. Like what?
No,
I'm
this is why you would have to argue that. Because when I said originally that SpongeBob did the impossible, you said that doesn't make any sense because it would have had to have been possible. And I told you impossibility is with respect to a logic system. So if they do not follow our logic system, they are doing what's impossible by our logic system and our logical standard while also simultaneously doing something that is possible by their systems of logic.
Okay, but my debunk to that was simply that well, it's based. It's more first off, it's more than likely. My interpretation is likely true in that well, it's oxymoronic. Like you know, planting doesn't literally mean that it's impossible. It's just more than likely not going to be the case because they literally did it. Like that's my debunk.
No, but I'm telling you that the very nature of SpongeBob is distanced from reality, right? Like
Oh,
you're saying that it would make more sense to go with normal human real life logic, and I'm telling you the very premise of the show is based in being unrealistic. We have a talking sponge, a talking starfish, etc., etc. So just the very fact of it being distant from reality showcases that what we'd have to do is approach it as an absurd item with an absurd interpretation. You're saying we should be
No,
reasonable about the unreasonable. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that's what you're saying.
no. Okay, I think literally, I think your entire argument is just a generalization because you're saying, okay, well, this talking sponge. First off, it's not fully based off the unrealistic. It's not completely unrealistic. Like they still have to breathe. They have gills. Like they're underwater. They're on Earth. All that stuff. But just like the talking
It doesn't
aspect, you're
even
trying
have
to
to
like
be
take
completely.
that talking aspect and you're trying to like apply
Yeah.
it to other places. And I don't think you could do that. I think you have to specifically prove that they don't follow this logic system as well. Because I feel like the base assumption
They have
is that they follow
fires
ours
underwater. They
unless you
regularly,
show otherwise.
yeah, they regularly defy things like blunt trauma. They regularly defy things like cutting damage. They regularly absorb like eons of information in minutes. They do things like this all the time. They
Okay.
invent time travel for fun. Like these are all things distinctly different from real life.
Okay. Well, I still think that this is still a generalization, and I also think, what about that you aren't really looking at the time? You saw a Texas sharpshooting there, where you're only looking at times when they defy our logic or whatever, rather than actually looking at it as a whole. So I think it as a whole doesn't defy logic. Yeah, that's my
Well, a Texas sharpshooter would presume that there are a lot of instances that are in the majority of contrast to what I'm saying, and I'm saying that you haven't established that. So Occam's razor would say, given the fact that I've given about 6 examples now, that you actually have to present more than 1 or 2 examples, right?
Okay.
That would run contrary to what I'm saying. Otherwise, we default to mine because we have to assume more things on your behalf as to why you don't have as many examples.
I've given you some examples, but I could give you some more. I mean, I could just look in the SpongeBob episode and like see like when they're following like gravity or something. And
They
by the
don't
way,
follow gravity all the time. What?
so, yeah, they normally do, don't they?
Yeah, they don't follow gravity regularly.
Like, what do you mean by don't follow gravity?
They quite literally, you know that Toon Force is a thing in this show, right? They quite literally do things that like allow them to fly and stuff.
Aren't they underwater?
Yes. And they light fires underwater too.
Okay. So let me. They normally do then, whatever they normally do. And by the way, does flying even like defy like the laws of gravity? I thought like flying is like usually just like
The way that they're flying without flying mechanism, yeah, basically.
how does Superman? Okay, let me just look up like the standard like way of people fly. Yeah, see, like, would you like consider like someone like Superman who flies, right? Like, would you consider him like defying law gravity?
Yeah, no, that's something that's premised by the very nature of Superman. In fact, that's what makes him super. That's what they mean by him being a Superman, him doing extraordinary things that are beyond the natural capacity of people.
All Superman does is just like alter the gravitational field around his body to fly.
You know that's done by basically telekinesis in a lot of the canons, and if you've ever watched any shows where they talk about the prospect of telekinesis, it seems like there's no legitimate physical mechanism for that to be accomplished, which would mean that it seems to be defiant of physics as we understand it. There's not really, at least as far as I understand, there's not a meaningful system of physics that's popularly accepted that makes sense of telekinesis, especially of the kind that's described by like Superman flying around like fucking the way that he does, especially at like the interstellar, intergalactic levels.
Okay, but he doesn't defy gravity though. Nice.
No, I said that he does, right? He runs against the idea of what we popularly understand.
I don't think. Wait, I feel like when I say defy gravity, I feel like I mean like gravity like doesn't really affect him or whatever. Like, all these things is altering gravity.
Yeah, and this goes. You know, this only enlines my point and reinforces it. So in fiction, he's technically not defying gravity because in fiction, they assume certain presets about physics and just motion and flight that enable something like Superman to occur. What I'm saying is those don't actually reflect real life physics almost ever.
Are you sure about
So
that?
the fact
I
that
feel
you're
like
appealing to fictional physics only proves my point.
I feel like in real life you could definitely alter gravity to fucking fly. I feel like that's not like something that's like outlandish inside fictional and like fiction. I feel like you could do it on real
Okay,
life.
if you showcase to me right now a physical mechanism that's popularly acceptable in physics where someone could fly using their mind to basically bend gravity, I'll concede right now.
No, I mean like obviously no, that's not really possible in real life. But like what I mean is that like when you like if you were like alter like hypothetically if it happened if you altered gravity around you, I feel like you could hypothetically fly. I feel like that's not really something that's too crazy.
I'm not even sure if it's alterable in that way, number one. But number two, and more importantly, this is what I'm alluding to. The mechanism by which Superman does it is literally with his mind. I don't even know if that's something that could be mechanistically accepted. Like before we even get to the point of whether or not this addresses gravity properly, I don't even know if you could do that with your mind.
Okay. I, yeah. So like I said, just hypothetically, like any way that you can like alter reality, like that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's appealing to the kind of point that I was already making, right? That fiction operates under logics and systems of assumptions that are different than that of reality. So the fact that that's true, even in the instances that you're describing and appealing to now, that only performatively accepts what I was saying to begin with. That fiction is distant from reality, so we can assert absurd things about fiction as it's pretty much inherently absurd.
Yeah, but I think that we also have like interpretations that could be true, like more than like one could be more than like other. I think you would like have like a burden of proof, like proof likelihood for it.
Yeah, and I presented more instances, and even the instance that you basically addressed, right, with Superman, I showcased how that actually appeals performatively to a different system of logic and physical assumption than the one that is accepted in reality. So even your own example, I showcased that actually appeals to a distance from reality, that appeals to absurdity.
Remember, what you call my example was just me asking you like, how do you think Superman flies, and it's me like refuting the idea that you flying automatically, sorry, not automatically, but like if you fly like without like wings or something like that, then you automatically like defy gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I showcased to you how that example.
Do you think that altering like gravitational force around you is defying gravity? Like if that's, I don't think. At least that's when I say defying gravity.
I told you before. I'm actually convinced that by the very nature of him being called Superman, implying that this is literally a non-natural ability, and then also the fact that the physics that they operate with in terms of fiction, especially that of DC, allows for shit like time travel and higher levels of time, whatever the fuck that means. You understand that all of those things imply a different kind of physics. So I don't see why him altering gravity is acceptable in real life just because it is in fiction.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm literally the most confused person in the world. Like, if someone were to alter their gravity, would that make them fly?
I told you, you're not understanding. I'm telling you, I do not know if it's alterable in that way, and that's something you have not showcased.
Let's just say it's alterable in fictions. In fiction, it's alterable. Like, if it was alterable inside real life, would it make you fly?
You realize that doesn't defeat my point, right?
That's fine, I guess. I said, the whole thing was just me asking you a question.
Yeah, so basically I've shown throughout this conversation that even by your own performative contradiction, that basically we recognize, whether or not you want to say it out loud for the sake of the debate, that fiction is pretty much inherently removed from reality, is inherently absurd, is inherently imaginary and fantastical. Therefore, fiction will allow for certain things to be possible that's not possible in real life, i.e., the impossible. So SpongeBob doing the impossible, which he consistently does in his show anyways, is not contradicted by you saying it's impossible in real life.
I already disagree. I think the only thing that you establish is that fiction can be not based off of real life. I don't think that you proved that it's inherently be
Yes, I did.
No, when did you do that? What the fuck?
So, do you know what fiction means?
No. I think it means it's
Fiction essentially means imaginary representation, which is what I already said, and I said that it's removed from reality for that fact. So that was my evidence. You didn't counter that.
But when did you even say that? I don't even remember you saying that in the entire debate.
That it's an imaginary representation. I said that several times.
Yeah, but I'm trying to say that imaginary representation can be grounded on our reality. I could make let's just look at Twilight.
Yeah, something could be. So you realize that I could come from my parents and not be enslaved by my parents. They don't force me what to do, right? Like, if you're 30 years old, are you telling me that your mom is still going to tell you whether or not you buy underwear on Sundays? Like, no, obviously not.
What? Okay.
Being based on something or coming from something doesn't mean that thing has jurisdiction over you as a successor or a continuant.
By the way, fiction is more like something that describes like imaginary people or like imaginary events. By the way, so then this could also still be based on reality. Like
imaginary representation.
My entire point is that when
and I told you that if
fiction, when you have
that's just a concession.
Right? I think the first assumption is that it's grounded on reality, so that this logic system, which I don't even know what the fuck.
That's just concessional.
Sorry.
That's concessional.
What? Okay. This logic system. Can I just talk after me or whatever? But this logic system or whatever, right? I feel like you have to prove that it's different, rather because it's like I said, it's based off of our reality.
Do you think you can start a campfire underwater?
Okay, it's just an instance. I think this will apply like the entire SpongeBob version. Let's just say you can't. Actually, no, I think you can. Yeah, fuck yeah, you can. I think you can start fires underwater.
No, I didn't say fires. I said campfires. Do you think you can start campfires underwater?
Campfire. I think a campfire is a fire.
So, you realize that's actually just a fallacy of composition, right?
What's a fallacy of composition?
You just said because it could be true of some parts, it must be true of the whole. I said specifically campfires. It doesn't matter to me if some fires are capable underwater, right? It doesn't matter.
Well, what's the difference?
I'm saying specifically campfires.
I don't know what you mean by parts and whole, but I don't see the difference between a fire and a campfire.
Okay, look,
campfire is just a fire.
So do you think I could rub two pieces of wood together underwater in the ocean and then light a fire?
I think a campfire is a fire at a campsite that provides light and warmth. That's a fire.
Yeah, so do you think I could cause one of those underwater?
Yes, you can.
Okay, prove that.
Okay, let me get them proof. Like, what? Like, it's pretty obvious that you can start a fire. I don't even know why you're...
Yeah, you can look up, like, gasoline fires. Those are not the kind of fires we're talking about. You have to showcase two pieces of wood moving together through friction in order to produce the kind of heat necessary for a fire to be produced from the wood.
It doesn't necessarily have to be wood. It could just be a fire.
That's what was specifically asked about, and the reason it has contextual reference is
I gave you the
no, that's what we're talking about.
What do you mean that's what we're talking about? I gave you the definition of a campfire, a fire.
No, you could equivocate, but you realize that's just a concession, right? If you're arguing against something that's not meant in the conversation, that's just equivocating because you can't beat the actual argument.
I'm not saying something that's not meant. I'm saying it's something that is meant. That's what I meant.
No, I'm saying if you're trying to counter what my argument is, and you're countering an argument I didn't make, that's just an implicit concession.
I'm not countering anything. I'm just saying the definition for campfire.
Okay, so you didn't understand the point that I was making? You know, SpongeBob has made campfires underwater before by rubbing two sticks together, right?
Then I said, no, I think you could make a fire underwater.
Yeah, that's not relevant. So you're arguing against an irrelevant point. I'm saying, do you think via the circumstances described, you can cause a fire underwater?
You agree that you can make a fire underwater, whether it be with gasoline or whatever? Like,
you realize that's not relevant, right?
Okay, whatever. Let's just move on if it's not relevant. I don't care.
What? Okay, whatever. All right, so what's your next point?
I think that's just my entire point.
So if we know that fiction is inherently unrealistic, right? Why should we project realism onto it? Wait, you think fiction isn't inherently unrealistic?
Yes.
What does fiction mean?
Fiction means that it's something based on imaginary events or people.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So it's unrealistic.
No, I don't think imaginary is synonymous with unrealistic.
Wait, so you think, hold on, you think imagination is real life?
No, but it could be. No, imagination is not real life.
Wait, what do you mean it could be?
That doesn't mean that imagination.
Wait, what do you mean it could be?
Unrealistic. You can have
no, it literally is.
Imagination.
Right? Because the distinction is the imagined versus the actual. So if it's not actual, then it's imagined. So if it's not actual or real, right, by default it's imagined or unrealistic.
No. Whoa. What the fuck are you with? You're fucking going through so much fucking
priori.
areas. What do you
No, that's a priori. That's what these words mean.
Yeah. Imagine it's just like from a mental image. Like this doesn't necessarily be unreal. I don't see why this has to be unreal. Sorry, unrealistic. Like,
what do you okay, what does real mean? What does real mean? What does real mean?
Sorry, when I think of unrealistic, I think of like something that's like outlandish, like let's just say fucking a 6 foot cat, 600.
What does real mean?
Popping up like that's unrealistic. Like that wouldn't happen in reality.
What does real mean?
Real? Let me look. I don't know.
Actually existing. So if it doesn't actually exist, it exists in the imagination, then it's unrealistic.
Nah, I don't think. Yeah, I think when they say unrealistic, they mean like it's not like.
It's not grounded in actuality, right?
No.
Just like imaginary representations.
No, realistic just means like it's sensible. It's a practical idea.
No, you're equivocating on what realism is.
I'm looking at the definition. I'm not saying realism.
I know, and I'm saying you're equivocating.
Realistic is two different things. I think
okay.
So realistic with real.
You just equivocated. You want to know how you equivocated?
Sure. Go ahead, Trini.
So, what definition do you think I'm using? The first one or the second
one? Oh, so you're looking at
the second one is a closer representation of what we're speaking about. So you're talking about one that's irrelevant to the conversation.
Okay, like I said, if you're using the second definition, which is representing things in a way that is accurate and true to real life, that's the second definition, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think imaginary could be true to real life. I don't think those could contradict each other.
So if it's representing things that don't happen in real life, i.e. a talking sponge, it's unrealistic. Thank you.
No. What it's doing is just representing stuff that you could represent something that can happen inside real life, inside of imagination. Those two don't contradict each other. Like what?
Wait, so then you agree. So it's unrealistic inherently.
No, that's literally the opposite of what I just said.
No, dude, you just conceded that because you just admitted that it's imaginary representation.
Okay, yes, I know it's an imaginary representation.
So if it's not accurate to real life, it's unrealistic.
Yes, I don't think imaginary automatically means inaccurate.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Is that real life?
No, imaginary just means that it's based off something that didn't
so
happen.
If you imagine your family getting into a fucking car accident, you're telling me they actually got into a car accident. Yes, that makes sense.
No, but that's realistic. I'm not trying to say that these events actually happened, but that's realistic.
No, what? That's not realistic. That didn't actually happen.
Remember, realistic doesn't mean true that it happened. Realistic just means that it's plausible or sensible or...
No, you're equivocating again.
I'm literally looking at the definition.
You're looking at the first definition, which is in the conversation.
Trini, is a family getting into a car?
No, Midtop, you're arguing against a definition that's not even relevant.
Okay, what
You
definition?
know one that's
Wait,
relevant, and you're arguing against the first one because it's convenient to try and rat out.
I'm using both. What do you mean?
Both aren't relevant. One is relevant.
Okay, which one's
The
relevant?
other is not.
Which
The
one do you
second
want to use?
definition,
Send me the definition which you want to use.
the one that you're using on Oxford English Dictionary that you already represented by saying the one that's true or accurate to real life, the one we're talking
Okay, so represent. Let me just say it again. Representing things in a way that is accurate and true to real life.
about. Yep.
Okay, what I mean by I think what they mean by realistic isn't the second definition. I interpret it as the first definition.
Okay, you realize I'm the one who made the argument, so I don't give a fuck what they meant in terms of possible interpretations. We're talking about what I meant, and I'm telling you what I meant. So you're arguing against a straw man.
No, your entire thing is we're arguing about a word's definition. So whether or not you brought it up, I can still say that this word does not mean what you brought it up to mean.
Okay, so you believe in lingual objectivism?
I believe inside interpretation.
Okay, so you realize that doesn't defeat what I just said, right?
Well, I think I can actually.
Because you're saying that it's no. You're saying that You're saying that it is correct that I'm using some word. It could only be correct with respect to my intention. I'm telling you my intention. So either you can dispute that's my intention, or you can't. Now either you do that or you fail. And if you think you can do something else, showcase that's the objective meaning, despite it literally telling you there are two.
Yeah, I'm not trying to refute. There is two definitions. There's two meanings. There's two interpretations that you could have. But I'm saying that this one that I'm specifically looking at is
Yeah, so you're just straw manning.
Like, that's literally the definition of the word. I'm trying to refute.
Midtop, there are two definitions. There's only one that's relevant.
And I can bring likelihood to what they mean. You want me to do that?
Okay, and I'm telling you which one is likely because that's the one that I'm talking about and makes contextual sense. The other one doesn't make contextual sense, or is the one that I said I was talking about.
I don't get what you were talking about.
So you're trying to make a counter argument. You can't make a counter argument by equivocating.
Sorry, by the way, can we just get this up? What do you mean by equivocating exactly? I'm just fucking copying you by saying.
I'm saying that you're saying the same word, right? But you're using a different meaning for that word. And the reason it's fallacious in this case is because you're attacking it as though that's the actual representation of what I'm saying when you're attacking a different meaning or a different concept versus the same concept.
Okay, I think based on what you're saying, like if you're trying to say that what you mean by it's unrealistic is that this did not happen in real life, I think yeah, sure, then it's not realistic. But I don't think that's really relevant because the conversation is whether or not it's based off. Well, the main argument or like the basis of my argument is that whether it's grounded upon real life. So I think
and I told you why that's not relevant.
Sorry, say that again.
I told you why that's not relevant because if it's inherently unrealistic, if it's inherently unrealistic,
it just means that it's not like it did not happen in real life. But
yes, it's not actual. It's not real. Yes. Yeah, so if it's inherently unrealistic, why are you projecting realism?
Well, all you're trying to say is that it's not like it didn't happen in real life, but I don't think that means that it's not based on real life.
So you realize its basis is irrelevant for the argument that I already gave earlier, right?
No, it's what? Okay, go ahead.
Something premising another object or entity doesn't mean that the thing that's doing the premising must necessarily have jurisdiction. So just because you came from your mom doesn't mean your mom can always tell you what to do, right? That doesn't matter. The origin doesn't mean that it has authority.
Trini, can you please speak to me like I'm 5? I don't understand what you just said.
It's the parent thing. Just because you have a parent, just because you come from your parent, just because you were founded on your parent,
okay,
your origin is your parent, doesn't mean that you're controlled by your parent. The same way, just because it could be grounded in reality, which I don't think you've demonstrated, right? Or if you've tried to demonstrate it, all you demonstrated was something that I already said from the outset, which is just trivially saying it has interaction, right? If you're saying the first, that's just blatantly false for the reasons I've already outlined. And if you're saying the second, you're just agreeing with what I said to begin with. So there's not even a dialectical negation.
What's the first? I'm having trouble keeping up. What's the first?
The first thing is saying that fiction is based in a non-trivial sense. So, like in the sense of fiction is constrained or has its rules set by reality. But I think you already disagreed with that.
No, I didn't disagree with that.
You think fiction's rules are set by reality?
I think that's a base assumption.
Okay, so then I ask you again, do you think that there can be talking sponges who can literally survive nuclear bombs in real life?
Are you aware of what I mean by base assumption? And what I mean by
Okay,
base
so then
assumption, I actually
that's what I just clarified. You just said that that would be the real life rule set or
no.
constraint. I'm telling
What
you,
I
if you think that, then you think talking sponges can actually exist.
what I mean by base assumption is that we assume that this is the case unless it's been shown otherwise. Like, let's just say we have the third law of Newton's third law. Like, we assume that, well, we go based on our reality and we say, okay, well, they're able to jump and stuff. Obviously, that's due to Newton's third law, unless it's been shown like, oh well, Newton's third law isn't, and there's something else in it. I think that's what I mean by base assumption.
If you're just saying that it begins with the assumption that it resembles real life, you realize that doesn't defeat what I'm saying, right?
That's I'm beginning with the base assumption that it is real life, unless it's been shown to like something in specific has been shown to be
No,
different.
that's not even true. You can't. No, because by just definition of what it means to be fiction, for something to be imaginary and non-actual, you can't assume that it is real life. You have to assume that it's not real life. That it's at least partially removed. That's the whole problem that Aristotle had with fiction. He thought it distanced itself from morality because it could never represent actuality.
Okay, I think we're like going off two different like definitions of what we mean by like fiction, like imaginary and specific. Like when we say like imaginary, I mean like sensibility. Like not sensibility, but like, what I mean by imaginary is like if it happened like in real life. So like this thing can happen inside real life. Like that's what I mean. Like would you at least agree that like
You're just
inside
talking about what's
fiction,
impossible. Yeah, that's not a counter to what I'm saying. Yeah, it's
like
definitely not a counter to what I'm saying.
like
Then your
say
entire
we
point
have
has just been irrelevant.
just say we have a piece of fiction, right? We have this piece of fiction. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
I lost my train of thought. Hold on. We have this piece of fiction, and this piece of fiction in specific is like Twilight, right? I just watched the Twilight series, and I'm if I can use that as an example, right? Sure, these events are imaginary. These events are coming from a realistic in the sense that it's sensible and it can happen. Sorry, some of these stuff can happen like it's based upon it. Some of these stuff can happen in real life. Like let's just say, people walking to school. That's like what I mean by realistic is it is realistic in the sense that it's sensible. It can happen. So then it doesn't defeat whether or not it's the basis of it.
Yeah, so that just accepts my point. That's what I was saying. It's
You know,
irrelevant. It doesn't actually attack what I'm saying at all.
if you fucking think so, then let's just go to the conclusion because I can't fucking take it. My brain's about to explode.
Oh my god. Okay, so what's your closing argument, or rather, what's your conclusion?
Okay, my conclusion is that SpongeBob did not do the impossible. Because the impossible was shown to be possible, and it's trying to say that the impossible is impossible and it's shown to be possible is oxymoronic, which means that it's contradictory inherently in and of itself. And then he tried to say, okay, well, SpongeBob doesn't go based off inherently does not go based off of our logic system, right? And I said, well, the basis of SpongeBob or any fiction is reality, right? And then I said, um, and then he said, no, wait, that's not true. He said that it's not based off reality and that's imaginary. And since it's imaginary, then it can never possibly be based off our reality. I could be completely strong-minding him there, but I think that that's his argument. And I said to as a
So,
hmm?
yeah, basically all I was saying is this, right? All I was establishing is that it might have been possible for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it could totally be impossible for us to do the same thing or for our real life conventions to map onto him. Therefore, he could do the impossible with respect to our logic system or real life logic, but not fictional logic, which is how he accomplished it. So, him doing something that's impossible for us is perfectly acceptable, while doing something that's not impossible for him. That would resolve the problem and makes more sense and establishes how fiction can resolve things like contradictions because they just follow different logic. So, it's a simple explanation. It's that
Yeah,
simple.
and then like the counter at the last part in specific, I said I would be like if I got like the basis point through, then I'll be my interpretation would be supported by Occam's razor, which is that like we take like the most of our like the most of our assumptions is more than likely the wrong one, or like it's less likely. And yeah, I barely could even keep up this debate. So like whatever, just look at the entire debate and you will see my points. I don't even remember it at all. You can go ahead, Trini.
Nah, Midtop, you gotta admit, bro, if I already established that fiction is inherently unrealistic or just defies actuality, and then I showcase multiple instances in the context of SpongeBob doing shit that just would not happen in real life, that just establishes a precedent and just a contextual just like leverage for the fact that he would do things that are quite literally impossible for us.
My yeah, I disagree for that for like one simple well, as you said a couple of things, like couple of reasons. I think when you said unrealistic, I don't think that's a defeater to my argument because all you said unrealistic meant was that it's not true or like it didn't happen in real life. And I don't think that that's a defeater to my argument. And then you said what was the second part that you said? Sorry.
Well, number one, it doesn't have to be a defeater. I took the affirmative position, right? So all that happens is that so long as I maintain my position, I actually win out. You were supposed to demonstrate that I was not correct. So if you don't demonstrate that I'm not correct, that just defaults to me being correct. Therefore, that's actually a point for me. But basically, what I was saying is
Ignorance is that. What do you mean?
that's not an appeal to ignorance. That's not a dialectical assessment. I'm telling you the assessment of just debate.
Trini, that is the most blatant fucking appeal to ignorance I've ever heard. You basically
Appeal to ignorance. No, appeal to ignorance is an assessment of whether or not someone's committing some belief error. That's not a belief error.
no, and I think an appeal to ignorance is when you say something is true, it's to prove it false.
No, it's saying that it's saying it's true until it's proven false, right? That's not what's happening. I'm saying that no, that's not what I said. I said that my affirmative position holds, right? As in it's the better supported one because of the fact that you had the burden as the negator or the negative position holder to showcase that I was wrong, which you did not. So you saying that our positions don't contradict means that you actually lose because you failed to uphold your burden.
I don't.
That's a debate assessment, not a knowledge or belief assessment.
What burden are you talking about?
Your burden is the negative party.
Yeah, whatever.
You have to show that I'm wrong. If you're saying that I am wrong, you have to show that I am wrong.
I don't even know what I'm wrong in what. Like you're being very vague.
About the debate. What?
Okay, whatever. That is the most vague thing I've ever heard. Just wrap this up.
No, that's not rat at all. That's real life debating.
I said
you go into a courtroom.
Let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up. I mean, let's just get this over with.
I thought you said that was rat. Yeah, no, I'm just saying like you go into a courtroom and then I'm saying that my client fucking murdered somebody, right? Or rather did not murder somebody. And then I just say, well, technically positions don't contradict. And then the person is supported that murdered somebody. Yeah, the courtroom is deciding the person who got evidences the murderer is going to fucking prison. That's all I'm saying.
All right, you want to finish up your conclusion or?
Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay.
That's basically it.
The judges. Like from. Let me see the pool.
Huh?
Let me see the pool of good judges.
Who's even who was all here for this? Can someone type in general and say who was here for the majority of the time? You could poll. I don't give a fuck. That's not the official judgment. Psycho. I mean, if you want Psycho to judge, we can. I would not personally go with him, only because I don't know him, but or know him like that.
I ain't good judge, bro. Still, okay, let's just pick someone else. See if anyone else is able to do it.
Yo, Kazuto, you want to give your impression, bro?
You're right. I wasn't real.
Bro.
Because I was like,
what the fuck? You're like you're like best attribute is like Discord judgment, bro. And moderation.
Bro, I don't even. I was like,
oh, Agent 69, I guess, wanted to give their input. Hold on. Here, you may come up, Agent 69.
Let's just get multiple people. Like, let's just get this other guy as well to give his input.
So you guys hear me?
Yeah, what's up, bro? What's your opinion?
Personally, what's up, bro? But yeah, I think STK, he won this.
I think if you give your reasoning or whatever.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm here the whole time. I just want to get on stage.
Oh my fucking god! Let's get someone else in here.
Yo, Agent 69 is a demon, bro. Yo, I'm gonna just invite everybody who wants to come up. We'll see.
Yeah, so
Yeah, what's up?
I mean, I was here for like majority of the whole thing about the whole SpongeBob debate and the Batman one.
okay, they're asking about the SpongeBob one.
Yeah, what's your perspective?
One. Well, I feel like I don't know, like, what's the difference between y'all? Because I forgot, like, the three names. It's Midtop and who?
STK, Trini, Stefan, any one of those.
Garbage, you don't like anything at this point.
Well, Midtop did bring up a lot of good topics, but Trinity had, like, a lot of ways to work around those topics.
So
overall, I feel like he argued better than Midtop did. But it was a good debate, though.
Let's go.
Let's get someone else.
Yeah, it was actually a good.
I think STK won because he literally made Midtop drop his
saying Midtop. You were saying Midtop won in general. Nigga got fear hats from Trini being on stage. Get the fuck down. No, I hate niggas like that. Shut up, bitch. Next.
Yes.
Midtop, to be fair, this is a biased server against you.
It's fine. Like I mean,
nigga won the poll. What? He won the poll.
Wait, hold on. This server is biased against me. What the fuck?
He won. He won the poll.
Y'all are so lame, bruh. Like,
he won the poll. Trini, you voted for him.
yeah, I'm making it uphill, bro. I'm making it uphill. I'm just cold like that. You feel me? Like, I'm just cold like that. Now, Arun, did you have a perspective at all, or were you not paying attention?
Oh, no. When do I pay attention to you realistically, bro?
Bro, you were messaging me. You were like, bro, Mom's on D1 as we speak, so I figured you might
take your debate.
Oh, my debate? My debates are fucking beastly. What?
Nigga, no. There's the one where you made James concede like 3 times. That wasn't study. I'm not. James conceding like 4 times in the same like premise, bro. It's crazy. Yo, we're Trini, okay. Other than that one, I just don't pay attention.
What's the debate? Ironically,
I get into literature.
The debate was on like this one must be on fiction.
The debate. Okay. My goal is to get any character that I'm given above the tiering system. So I made one for SpongeBob and Midtop. And I said this about a couple of them. I said if you could beat one of these scales against me in a debate, then I'll give the winner $10. And there's a limit of one person or winner per video. And so Midtop took me up on one of them, and that's basically the debate, whether or not SpongeBob was above the tiering system.
And he lost.